Seemingly as soon as Ohio State's fall camp began, news kept flooding in. Quinn Ewers obviously switched to the 2021 recruiting class. He's now enrolled here, doing well. We'll talk a little bit about what Ryan Day said about him, but news was flooding in, and there's been some changes on the depth in certain areas, notably running back, as many of you probably know. And there was some confirmation about the quarterback position. And I think that before we get into that and read an article by the Columbus Dispatch about all of that, I do believe that that's not really a signal of a front runner. I think that's a signal of we have our starter. That's just my opinion. You can debate that, but I think what Ryan Day here is doing is he's trying to hint at a starter without maybe in his own mind giving his opponents a knowledge of who they are going to face for the entire season, if you kind of get what I'm saying here. But from here, I'm just gonna go through what Ryan Day said about specifically Quinn Ewers easing into the role at Ohio State, and stuff about CJ Stroud being the front runner, and then we're gonna move to the interesting development at running back, and then I do want to talk about transfer Pele Gaotioti the fourth and all that surrounding him transferring to Ohio State and getting his waiver, and then talk about what he adds to the defense just a little bit, and talk about the defense in general, because the lineup, especially returning starters for the defense, I think is important and it should be reviewed just because. So Ryan Day basically said that Quinn Ewers is doing really well. He says the kid has a tremendous amount of talent, and he is enrolled, as I've already said, and he's easing into his role, and he's not necessarily a factor in the preseason camp QB competition. A lot of people were saying that online, either as a joke or they were being serious, but he is not a factor in the quarterback competition, and I think that is fair. I think the kid should just redshirt. He clearly stated that he's doing this so he can earn money, because he can't at his high school in Texas. And addressing Ewers' arrival, Ryan Day reframed the expectations surrounding the prospect from Dallas and made it clear that he's still getting up to speed. Ryan Day said, "We're going to show him the locker room and show him around," and he just got here and it's the middle of camp. So he said he has a good plan in place to get him going here. And he also stated again that he has a tremendous amount of talent. Quinn Ewers was a perfect 1.0 rating, obviously. He was the highest prospect in the 2022 class, and when he switched over to 2021, he was also the number one prospect. So here you go. Now, as I've mentioned before, the only questionable thing here is him coming here a year earlier could possibly force a quarterback or two out a year earlier, and I'm mentioning Kyle McCord and Jack Miller. I'm thinking it's going to be Jack Miller if anyone gets forced out. Kyle McCord showed tons of promise in the spring game, and speaking about the quarterback position and spring game, I do want to move on to CJ Stroud and make him the center of this QB focused talk. So you have CJ Stroud, you have Kyle McCord, you have Jack Miller, and you do have Ewers. Now, Ewers is obviously not in the fall competition, but he still should be talked about in regards to the transfer portal. But for now, I'm just going to focus on Stroud and his presumed backups in Kyle McCord or Miller. Ryan Day basically said that CJ Stroud has, quote-unquote, a little bit of separation. And Day said that he thinks CJ has separated a little bit here over the past couple of weeks. We'll see what this week brings. Certainly not making any decisions, but we have seen a little separation. And as I've already said, I think this means this guy's the starter, but we're not going to confirm it because we don't want PJ Fleck training his hungry defense for a specific guy. Now, I'm not saying Minnesota's defense is the best in the world. When I say hungry, I'm just saying Minnesota's a competent football team. Ryan Day said this and admitted this, and it's obviously focused on beating Minnesota and is not overlooking them, which is an important factor to beating them in that regard. But he doesn't want to give them any kind of advantage. Now, it seemed that from the beginning, even in 2020, that we knew that Stroud was going to be the starter. He came in to the playoff game against Clemson when Fields was injured and handed off a snap to a running back. He had a touchdown run and a little bit of a showcase against Michigan State rather than Jack Miller, which puts him ahead of Miller in the pecking order. Kyle McCord has tremendous talent. He looked far better than Jack Miller in the spring game. Miller was given every opportunity to succeed in the spring game and just didn't. McCord is better. I would honestly say it's going to go Stroud, McCord, and Miller at third. And once Ewers gets settled in, Miller probably just leaves. And I wouldn't be shocked either as if McCord leaves too, if Ewers gets settled in pretty quickly, but I think that'll take a while for this whole transfer process to begin. It's just something to talk about and kind of prep for. It will happen, but even if it does, you still have Stroud, who's going to be at worst just a good quarterback, and Ewers, who at worst is probably just going to be a great quarterback. Again, at worst. Best you can go is elite, and seeing Haskins in college, and I think Fields all around, elite seems to be the trend here. And speaking of depth and all that beautiful stuff, running back, that position seems to have changed depth here. Mayan Williams continues to excel. An article by ScarletAndGame.com. I'm going to link this one, the quarterback one by Columbus Dispatch, and another one by Joey Kaufman of the Columbus Dispatch about Quinn Ewers in my bio if you want to check those out. I'm going to link those three down below. As practice continues, the Ohio State football team might have someone emerging in the running back room. And that guy is Mayan Williams. Mayan Williams is a 5'8", 227-pound freshman running back from Cincinnati, Ohio, is listed by ESPN. And I look at that 5'8", 227 pounds, and I look at Mark Ingram, and Mark Ingram is 5'9", 215 pounds. Small guy, obviously powerful, obviously can move. And Mayan Williams last year only had 10 attempts for 64 yards, which is a pretty good running average. But with only 10 attempts, we haven't seen him much in game. However, from what I have heard, he seems to be doing pretty well in fall camp. And the former 3-star sophomore, I guess he's sophomore now, overtook Teague in the fall camp. And despite Teague being healthy after a limited spring, he still was overtaken by Mayan Williams. And as many Buckeye fans have told me, as I have heard them talk in various threads from Instagram to any other website, and from what I even have noticed in film, Teague is an up and down back. He does not have much side-to-side motion. He's powerful. He's big. He's a veteran. He's not the best outside runner at all. He just isn't. He is not the greatest running back by any means. Great in power situations. He'll be great against teams that do not have great defensive lines. He'll be great against them. I imagine Ryan Day will still use him to power through, just kind of up the middle, and especially against weaker teams in general. But I imagine that Mayan Williams and even Trayvon Henderson will be used in greater capacity just all around because they're more mobile, and it seems to be that now they're more talented and have gained more favor from the staff. So that's really the running back position here. His nickname is Meatball, Mayan Williams is, and that just kind of adds to, in my opinion, the Mark Ingram Jr. comparison, just from height and weight specifically. I think this guy, just like any other Ohio State running back, will be great, and probably better than great. And same with Henderson too. Those two, including Teague in power situations, will be a deadly running back room. One of the best in the nation, in all honesty. And that adding to the wide receiver room, and now the all around a talented QB room and a great offensive line. Ohio State's offense, as we already know, and any fan base, is primed for success and will be successful almost no matter what. The defense, on the other hand, is something we just have to talk about because the defense did struggle last year. The defense really has 6 returning starters from what I have seen. You got Josh Proctor at safety, Sevyn Banks and Marcus Williamson at cornerback. Marcus Williamson, just from looking at his numbers, seemed to really only enter the starting position in 2020. Sevyn Banks has been around too, and really got his most playing time and his most tackles and most passes defended in the 2020 season. And Josh Proctor was there in 2019, there in 2020, and it's good to have him back if you're an Ohio State fan. The secondary should improve. I don't have it being elite. I don't even have it being excellent or great. I have it as good, but that just being good combined with the best defensive line in the country that will continue to improve as time goes on should not be a concern, including with the amazing offensive performance that I am expecting. Zach Harrison and Tyreek Smith at the defensive end position, backed up by JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, will be an absolute nightmare. And then Haskell Garrett at the defensive tackle position, it will also be a huge problem to deal with. Even having an interception in the 2020 season as a defensive tackle, that's quite the feat. He had 2 sacks, 12 solo tackles. And another question that was brought up was the linebacker position for Ohio State. I don't believe there are any returning starters at that position, and it was not necessarily a high point either. But Pele Gaotioti IV from USC is trying to transfer to Ohio State. His transfer letter has not been signed off, I don't believe. They're still trying to figure that out, and Ryan Day says that he hopes the process will be quick and painless, and that Gaotioti IV has done everything that he can do. He only had 9 total tackles in the 2020 season, 2 solo, 7 assisted, and didn't have a single interception or pass defended. I believe he was injured, just from looking at those stats there. And that today is really just all I have to talk about. Again, just reviewing the depth at the positions, talking a little bit about what has been going on specifically at running back and quarterback, because those seem to be the most common news when it comes to changing of depth. And I mean, the Mayan Williams thing, honestly, as a Michigan fan, it kind of surprised me. I mean, I kind of knew that Teague wasn't, not a lot of people wanted him to be the starter again, despite him still, having pretty good statistics in the 2020 season. So this didn't really surprise me, and what has surprised me kind of more is the fact that Stroud hasn't already been announced as the starter. And I understand for tactical reasons why that is, but Stroud was the second man at the quarterback position in 2020. He was presumed by everyone, even when Fields was still here, to be the starter in 2021. And he's been obviously separated himself from the rest of the group, did the best in the spring game. So it's kind of surprised me that no one has said that, yes, he is the confirmed starter. Also, JT Tuimoloau has lost his black stripe already, which is insanely fast, in my opinion. That's all I have to say. If you liked this video, remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can watch more of my videos, and comment your thoughts below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.